like the cutout thing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kristen Chang.
I'm Alina Abidi.
Welcome to the second episode of E Squared, Estoque on Screen. In our first segment, we explore the trend of 3 generations under one roof.
Next, we examine how Black Friday affects Thanksgiving traditions.
After that, we'll take a look at the lessons and costs of part-time jobs.
Then, we'll question how accepting we are of Monte Vista minorities.
Finally, we analyze the importance of bench players.
When we think of a typical household, we usually picture 2 generations, parents and kids. But in Cupertino, it's not unusual to see 3 generations sharing one home. In our first segment, we explore how the connection and intimacy of a shared home influences the family dynamic of 3 women.
According to a Pew Research study, 57 million Americans lived in multi-generational family households in 2012, double the number in 1980. In a city like Cupertino, with its immigrant values and high house prices, this living arrangement is not uncommon. So we asked sophomore Pallavi Shripathy, who lives with her parents and her grandma, what it's like to have 3 generations living under one roof.
She first moved in a year back. She was here for 6 months and then she had to leave for 6 months. And then she came back again this July. She's gonna stay here for forever.
Pallavi's grandmother decided to move in with her son and his family when her husband passed away last year. Although her life here is completely different from what it was in India, she has learned to adjust to the new environment.
So at that point of time, when I'm sick and all that, when she's there for me, when she's sick, why won't I keep her? So we know each other, we bond with each other. So you have some kind of guilt. Oh my God, why should I let her go? Let me do this for her. She did so much for me.
According to the same Pew Research study, Asian Americans were the most likely of the major racial and ethnic groups to live in multi-generational households, and 63.3% of the residents in Cupertino are Asian. At the forefront of this racial influx in recent decades are real estate agents like Mary Tan.
We start to see there are more bigger family coming in by saying that it means their parents or their relatives, usually it's the grandpa, grandma, either the wife's parents or the husband's parent, they come to stay with them. And because the fact that the younger generation or the buyer are professionals, most of them are well educated and professionals, and they both work. So they need the help of the parents who can take care, if they have children yet, then take care of the family, bring them to school, take care of the kids, feed them and all that kind of thing.
That life is different from here. You see what I have spent with my husband and then my child. Here it is different. So as you think and you say, as we are growing old, the each age, there is a different kind of life. So then it depends upon the adjustment with the kids. So like that, I'm able to adjust with my children. They are cooperating with me. That's why I don't find any difficult.
It's a lot of changes which she adapted to for us. And I respect her a lot for that. It's not easy for her for sure, but she made it very easy for me.
I do Carnatic music, and with that there's a lot of, when you learn musical pieces, it's in Telugu, and I don't have an Indian accent at all. I don't have that, like, when I speak Telugu, it's a very prominent American accent to it. So my grandmother really helps me with like breaking down the words and like trying to pronounce them properly, because obviously when you pronounce the music properly, it's going to sound a lot better too.
So the name
Moham.
Moham.
My relationship with my grandmother is pretty close. I can tell her things that I can tell my sister. I'm really close to my sister. Like I won't necessarily talk to her about boys and stuff, but I can talk about people to her, and she doesn't like me judging people, but she's kind of okay with me like calling people certain things. I think I was still pretty close to her, like in the 6 months she stayed here originally. Even though, like, even in the 6 months she left, it didn't really feel like she was gone. Like, when she came back, we kind of like picked up from where we left off.
Though we often think of Thanksgiving as a time to be with our families, the increasing popularity of Black Friday means that shopping can sometimes interfere with family traditions. In our next segment, we examine the resistance to the rise of Black Friday.
When people think of Thanksgiving, what usually comes to mind is quality time with family, vacation, and turkey. But now, as popular stores Sears, Macy's, and Target open at 6 p.m. Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday has become a holiday of its own. Black Friday's presence since the early 90s has raised questions among students and families as to where the line should be drawn with its effects on Thanksgiving tradition.
Since like almost our entire family's from Venezuela, we make pan de jamons, like kind of like a cinnamon roll but salty, and it's really good. And if we wake up early enough, we watch the parade and dog show. And for dinner, I know at least me and my stepsister, we like dress up, we like wear fancy clothing.
There's always an argument of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what happens is our whole family usually goes over to my grandma's house, usually watch a football game and stuff, and it's just like a whole bunch of people all in the same house, and it's really fun.
I go every year. Yeah, I think a lot of people like, they like to go really late at night or really early or something, so like instead of like staying and eating with the family or something, they're like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed so I can wake up really early and leave. Personally, I really don't like, I like the sales, but I think it's like really, I feel very claustrophobic because there's so many people in the
They have died. They have people being killed.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of people and it's so loud, and so it's not really about like spending time with people. Like if you're just in this place where there's like so much noise and you can't even like think, it's more about just getting your stuff and then getting out.
I don't know. The whole idea of Black Friday kind of terrifies me a bit because I know there's been stories about people like getting injured and hurt, and every year there's like a big scandal of some woman who brings pepper spray and then like nukes a bunch of people. So I don't know. It's just Black Friday seems a bit ridiculous to me, but I suppose it is fun for some people.
I know some people go as like a family and stuff, but usually it's just the kids who like to go shopping. Yeah. So I think that it might kind of take away from the whole like family aspect of Thanksgiving.
I have friends who like, as soon as they're done eating their Thanksgiving dinner, they're running out the doors to go get in line with their family. And I mean, that's fun for some families, and if they're all doing it together and it brings them together, then sure, why not? It's another tradition.
If Black Friday is also their tradition and Thanksgiving is their tradition, they have like two traditions that they have to kind of choose over.
Black Friday is like, that's the first day you go Christmas shopping because there's like lots of sales and stuff too.
Several stores have noticed the takeaway from family tradition Black Friday brings and have started to close on Thanksgiving Day. TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Pier 1 Imports, Joann Fabrics, and many more stores have decided to take Thanksgiving off. Some stores, such as REI, have stated that they are closing on Black Friday as well and paying their employees to spend the day with their families.
I mean, the whole point of Black Friday is to go shopping and get discounts, so if stores are closing on Black Friday, I kind of think that ruins the point.
No, that's pretty cool though, because like, if it's kind of like sending a different message of like Thanksgiving and like the day after Thanksgiving, or the whole idea of like paying your employees to like spend a day off with their family, that's pretty awesome.
I think that stores will keep Black Friday because a lot of people go shopping on Black Friday, obviously, like at Walmart, a bunch of people go. So I mean, I still think that they're going to keep the tradition, but I think other stores, like more stores will start closing as well. So I don't know, I think it's like a 50-50.
Well, I mean, holidays are always an excuse for stores to like rack up their merchandise prices, and Black Friday is a way for them to get a bunch of stuff sold in a small amount of time, and I don't know, I don't think it'll ever really go away, because you have companies like Macy's and JCPenney's, and just around the holidays is a big, big season for them, so I don't know, I think it's still going to be around for a long time.
On Black Friday, stores are filled with customers looking for deals and employees working the midnight shift. Though most of us go to these stores to shop, some students are on the other side of the counter. In the following segment, we take a look at students with part-time jobs and their responsibilities.
A lot of people believe that each passing grade is a slow descent into the horrors of the adult world. It starts with fun and games until someone shakes your hand as they hand you a diploma and wave as you struggle to find a job for the next stage of your life. In fact, the job is arguably what we even go to school for. It seems as though society put school in one corner and put jobs with the adult world in the other corner. A handful of students, however, found their niche somewhere in between these corners. These students chose school and a job. Here's what they have to say from their experience as a working student.
The biggest disadvantage is that it's not like flexible. Like the schedule's really flexible, but it's like I work Monday, Tuesday, like I can't just not go to work. It's just like there's like people depending on you, so you can't just like blow it off, you know? And so it's kind of hard sometimes if I like have homework, but then it's just made me better at time management. So like the things that are hard are kind of good because then they just teach me to like be better. And I just like the interaction with people that you don't always see. And there's some people that are like family friends that we don't see often, but they'll come in and it's just a surprise and they're like, oh, I didn't know you worked here. Like, say hi to your parents for me. And it's funny. I think it just makes me feel more proud when I buy something because I can hand over the cash and I like see like I made this, I collected this, here it is for you, and then it just kind of like gives things more value because it's different based on which family, because I never got an allowance. So I've technically worked since I was 6 because me and my sister started a pet sitting business. So we always would like make money and our parents wouldn't give us an allowance, and especially being the youngest, I didn't get an allowance at all. My older sister did. But I think just working for your money is a lot. It just teaches you a lot of important things that you don't learn in school.
Case learns the value of money through her paycheck. But, surprisingly enough, a paycheck is not the only motivator for getting a job. For freshman Tanya Ravichandran, her job is her passion. She doesn't work behind a counter, but instead behind the camera, as a freelance photographer for PacSun.
So I like photography because it's just a place where I can like be me. There's no pressure. It's also like sometimes sports are like a way for people to get away from their thoughts. I believe that's like it's like for me too, since I play tennis. But I think photography like gives me this outlook for me to experience something different. It's something that's not very common for people to do. Like people when they say, "Oh, I'm a photographer," like I feel like photography, like when like people say that, but it's just a place where I can be by myself, relax, and it also like lets me talk to new people. Like since I like taking photos of people, right? I get to meet new people, and I'm not the very like social person. Like when you first meet me, I am like a really like talkative person, but when you first meet me, I'm extremely shy. But it like since I feel there's like something different. Like I want to talk to them, so like it like just lets me like whatever I want, I get. It happens. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
Senior Duncan Levy may work at a Chipotle, and even with the blandest of conversation starters to sell the spiciest of burritos, an articulate interview showed why he chooses to talk to hundreds of people a day for a living. What his job lacks for an excitement and adventure, it makes up for in the lessons he takes back to Monte Vista every day.
Alright, to be honest, coming from one of the laziest people I know, me, getting a job was probably one of the best things that I could have done during my senior year. It not only allows you to have a sense of purpose because you are going somewhere and you are doing something that will make somebody else feel better, whether it's serving comfort food or doing whatever that you so choose to do, you're benefiting the world in some way. So it gives you that overall sense of purpose. But not only that, you're getting a sense of purpose, and then you're also getting paid on top of that. And I know that sometimes you're working and you're like, I wish I was not working, but you also just have to think about it and think, I'm also getting paid just to be here. Someone has found that my time is valuable enough to be paid for.
Senior Ali Case, freshman Tanya Ravichandran, and senior Duncan Levy don't have much in common except they all clock in, work, and leave with a paycheck. Jobs are something little kids look at and equate with adults. But for these 3 students, a job is a chance to mature.
Just as a diversity of players on a team is valuable, having a diversity of students at school is valuable. While our school might seem diverse at first glance, Monte Vista has its own minorities. Our opinion staff looks at our perception of minorities at Monte Vista.
We pride ourselves on being an accepting community. We shake our heads at the anti-Muslim sentiment running rampant in the rest of the country. convinced that that would never happen here, where people from around the world are our classmates, our neighbors, and our friends. Yet, for all our professed acceptance, we continue to apply stereotypes to groups of people who we don't interact with, subsections of our population that we don't acknowledge. So, are we really as accepting as we think we are?
Because I'm here in Cupertino, I don't really face that much racism, and I don't really hear people talking about like slurs against Muslims or using that kind of language around me or to me.
I think most of the the bias and stereotypical opinions I get is from my close friends who make jokes or they just repeat things that they've heard, or they make claims based on stereotypes.
I think everyone at Monte Vista is like pretty open about everything, and we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to be in like a really open and accepting community.
People are asking me more questions about like if I know anyone who is in a gang, or if I just stereotypical questions.
As for the Mexican stereotype, I think that's completely enforced here. A lot of people look down on and expect less from Mexican students I talk about it like that. And the same with white students, but not as much.
I think one of the ones I face most is like if I tell anyone like I'm in a certain math class, or I'm like taking physics honors, I think I get like a pretty surprised reaction, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm white. It could also be like because I play football or other stereotypes, but I think definitely like race plays a role in that.
Alright, one of the memories that's always stuck with me the most in terms of sticking out is my really close friend. When I was younger, I was invited to one of his parties, and it was for an Indian festival kind of thing, and I had all my traditional gear on, and I felt really special to be included in this kind of thing. I stuck out like a sore thumb, obviously, and I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I was fitting around, all the kids were you know, playing game, just fooling around, and this guy came up to me, a little older than me, about my age, and I quote, he said, "No offense, but what are you doing here? This is a brown people party." And it was so blunt and so direct. Like, I took it as a joke, kind of. But it's always kind of stuck with me. I mean, comments like that have been repeated throughout my whole life. And they're all supposed to be jokes. Everyone takes them as jokes. But after a while, you realize what a divide it is, and how comfortable people feel saying that about you, just because you're the littlest bit different, and you're a minority here at Monte Vista.
With Mexican students, I feel like that at Monte Vista, we're not as willing to get along with them, or anyone that looks different, meaning not white or Asian.
I think it definitely gives off a little bit of a different view of how the world is, because Hispanic is a large population in California, but if you go into Cupertino specifically, it's a very big minority here.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we all know, we don't really try to deny it, that we're not that tolerant towards the Mexican population at Monte Vista.
And I think it does create a certain, like, does make a bubble where it's like, this isn't a representative of how California or as America as a whole is.
Students play many different roles, both in and out of school. In sports, sitting on the bench isn't what you picture when you try out for a sport, but our next segment analyzes the value of participating from the sidelines.
The starting quarterback, the leading scorer, the dynamite pitcher. In all sports, it's always the star players that get all the attention and credit, the ones people look up to.
Then there are role players, who many call bench players. They are often looked down at and made fun of by their peers for not receiving playing time. Junior Andre Becker and seniors Peter Kim and Cynthia Shen all define themselves as bench players and explain their role that they believe they have on their team.
I'm a setter on the team. I'm not a starter, so I'm like the second or third backup setter. And yeah, that's the position I play. I sometimes sub in for defensive specialist.
My role is bench player, somebody who comes off the bench and is kind of a change of pace player for the defensive line.
Probably going to be on the bench again this year. I've been on the bench for quite a long time, but I've actually not been playing for that long, so I mean, it kind of makes sense that I'm on the bench.
All teams have different rotations and different ways they assign playing time to their athletes. According to these 3 players and athletic director Nick Bonacorsi, there are various criteria for deciding playing time.
I would say it's based on performance, actually. And performance kind of brings talent and effort into it. If you're not a starter, your best chances to get out there are like you said, so if we're up by a lot or down by a lot, or if the person in front of you gets hurt. And so I think those are great opportunities, and as a coach, we need some of those throughout the season to be able to see who can kind of step into other roles.
I think talent's very, very important. I think you have to have talent. But you also have to have experience, and you have to be able to work hard. We had a good couple players this year that just worked really hard, and they got a lot of playing time before it. But you also had the players that were more talented and played because of that.
While players enjoy getting a chance to prove themselves, the feeling of being subbed in when your team is up or behind by a lot is frustrating.
It's good for the players that need experience, especially at the school like this where they don't have many. But there are some players that you put in garbage time that have the experience, and it can get very annoying to be in during that time because they're essentially telling you you're a terrible player.
It definitely is frustrating sometimes to not be on the court, but I do understand and respect his decisions, and in the end, if our team can pull through and get a win, that's ultimately most important because it's a team sport.
It's like you feel kind of bad because you know that you're not good enough to play, but at the same time, you know that that's going to keep you going, that you just want to get better at it, you know?
Although the impact of bench players is rarely seen in front of an audience, they still play a vital role in the team's success, which is oftentimes only appreciated by the players and coaches.
It's important to have a good scout team, especially in football, when, again, most players don't have that much experience. You need a good look because you never know what's going to happen. And if you don't have a scout team that can give you a good look, then you're not going to win games. And that happened in our JV years. And I think that people don't realize that you actually need an entire good team, and that this sport, your weakest link is actually how weak your team is.
Not being able to get on the court or on the field isn't the biggest concern to these athletes. They stick with the sport for the love of the game, not the fame or accolades that in-game success can reward them with.
Everyone that's playing a high school sport is doing it because they love the game, or at least that's what I hope as a coach. And like I said before, I think it's important if you're not starting, that doesn't mean you're stuck in that role, right? And so it's an opportunity for you to work really, really hard and get better and improve. So maybe you're not starting as a freshman, but by the time your sophomore year rolls around, or a year of experience here, or whatever it might be, you've worked yourself up into a position where you get that playing time. On the other side of that, it's not just about playing time too. So,
like before the season, I decided that I would play for 3 main reasons. Because first of all, I said that it's not about my pride. Like, I'm not playing volleyball so I can be the star and like show them how good I am. It's about learning humility to support the team. It's about perseverance. This is a sport I really love, and I've been playing it for 4 years, so I'm going to persevere and finish it senior year. And I think last but not least, because I love the sport and I love my team, you know, just the people on the team, the coach, the practices, the things we do, the team bondings. I love the sport, so even though maybe twice a week I don't get to play as much when I'm on the court, there's still everything that comes with it, you know, all the practice time I get to spend improving myself and bonding with my teammates.